the amount of DV-LED on the floor has impressed me. We have seen such a, it's just been a wild west in terms of LED, LCD, DV-LED, micro LED. And DV-LED, now that the prices come down a little bit, it's really, really taken off. We're seeing it in digital signage. We're seeing it in places where people wouldn't typically put LED because, it didn't used to be made to be on 24/7. And DV-LED is kind of a little more ruggedized now. Yeah. It can go outside. It can go in so many places. And now that we're seeing that price point come down a little bit and new players enter the market like Epson, it's just it's becoming a really, really interesting trend.
Really quickly, because a new player has entered that chat.
A new hottie has entered the villa.
I
didn't
say hottie. I just said
That's from Love Island.
I will take your word for it.
Okay.
Mitchell can throw in something about Love Island if he cares to go look.
Yeah.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Part 2 of our coverage of InfoComm 2026. We talked to a great group of folks telling us what the 1 or 2 things they are taking away from the show and what we thought of InfoComm 2026. All that and more next on AVWeek. This is AVWeek, episode 775, recorded Friday, June 19th, 2026. Live from InfoComm 2026, Part 2. This is AVWeek, your weekly wrap-up of the biggest news and stories in the AV and the IT world. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. This is Part 2 of our show, coming to you from InfoComm 2026 in our friends Midwitch's podcast studio, so thank you so much to them for letting us use that. So, same concept as last time around. First and foremost, Erica Carroll, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Tim. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. And also our friend Steve Greenblatt. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Erica, did the same thing for you and Steve both as last time around. What's 1 or 2 things that impressed you this week at InfoComm?
So for me, I think it was the number of manufacturers who presented solutions as a full solution, where I got to see the actual application of the device and not necessarily just having to stand up and look at a wall and trying to figure out everything I'm looking at, but actually seeing the whole solution all as a complete package was the biggest thing that I walked away with. And also it was really refreshing because you get an actual idea of how might this fit in my space or my client's space, and I really enjoyed that.
Okay. Steve, same question. What's 1 or 2 things that you are seeing or that impressed you this week?
It was all about the conversations. It wasn't necessarily about something that I saw in a booth, but the conversations that I had, the people that I ran into, and it just reminded me that you have to be here. And regardless of how much you feel you're going to get a monetary return on the investment, you get a lot of return and a lot of energy, at least I do, from being here, a lot of ideas and the connections. And I think that we're all in a different place in our lives, and a lot of us are on the second halves of our career, and we want to make sure we see the people that were important to us, and we've all have a lot of friendships.
I agree with that. I actually, this morning, we woke up, my husband's also in the industry, obviously, but we're like, we haven't even seen the North Hall. We've already been here for 2 days because you get stuck in Central Hall and all of these people come up to you and you don't even actually make it that far into a booth before you're stopped and you're just drawn into these conversations and catching up with people. And I agree that it's all built on the relationships that we have here.
Well, the old adage is, people buy from people, and those people are that's the relationship part, right?
It's human.
Steve, you said you have to be here. Why?
A few reasons. For me, my company actually works with all the manufacturers that are exhibiting, and it's a lot easier to find them when you know where they are, and they can't avoid you. They can't not respond to the email or not return the call. So that's one thing.
They could run away from you.
But some of them do. but aside from that, I think that I spend too much time behind my desk, and I spend too much time in my own world, and this puts me out of my comfort zone. I get a lot of energy, but I also have to spend a lot of time energizing myself to get here, and then recovering after. But it's these all of the random conversations that you have, you just wouldn't have them if you're sitting behind your desk. It's impossible. It's impossible to have them. And we're all part of making this industry work. And that's why it's an investment that we all have to make to be here.
Yeah. Erica, why do you have to be here?
Because I operate in a silo when I'm at home, and I think that seeing people re-energizes me. There's a lot of people in our industry, obviously, that travel and they're in sales, and their battery pack gets charged up, weekly or monthly. And for InfoComm, for me, that it's annual, and this past year I was also able to go to ISE, and it's been nice that approximately every 6 months that I get to get revived in what's going on, and I feel like I'm plugged back in, and it just gets me more excited to keep doing my work when I get back home.
All right. Steve, one of the things that I'm seeing as a thread and a trend, which is quite frankly why I asked this question to really smart people, and that is this Erica referenced the solutions, right? I'm going to pull on that. The combination of hardware and software is where that solution lives, right? I've done a number of interviews this week where, yes, we sell hardware, but let me tell you about this really cool software that goes into the hardware and how we iterate on that. You, and not just because of Control Concepts, but you started your career at Crestron with programming and this, that, and the other. But talk about that evolution from 30 years ago. This show was all about the hardware, right? We make the joke that we sell black boxes. We don't sell that anymore. We sell solutions. How does software fit into that?
I would argue, too, though, that the software is the glue that makes everything work.
Okay.
And that's what control programming is. And the hardware, a lot of times, can exist on its own, but to make it easy is where the software comes in. Yeah. So that's a lot of it. But the fact that we have software updatable equipment really makes the products that you invest in have a longer lifespan, and it gives the manufacturers an opportunity to not have to put everything in the first version. You can grow with it, and they can iterate, and they can also receive feedback from their clients. So that has a big part of it too. And we don't always know what we need the day that we have it, or we all know that our lives have changed quite a bit for a lot of reasons over the past few years. Yeah. So software helps to bridge that gap.
Erica, what's one thing you're taking away from this week?
One thing I'm taking away from this week is probably just being reinvigorated by the conversations that I'm having, and it's made me realize that I'm not reaching out to people nearly enough.
Okay.
So there's still people that weren't here this week that I am reminded, and I'm texting, hey, are you here? And they're saying no, and it's like, okay, I need to catch up with those people. Because I want to hear about not just what's going on in their lives or what's going on in their work. It's just keeping a pulse on the whole community, and I love that AV is a family of sorts. So.
All right. Mr. Greenblatt?
I think that's a really great point. And I think the human part is what separates us from all of the products and even AI. But I think what I found is that AI is actually really part of our lives right now. And last year we talked about AI as a buzzword, and everybody had to talk about it because it was the thing. Now we're actually really using it, and we're all benefiting from it. And I think that we all can exchange information as to how we're getting value out of AI, and I think if you're not doing that, you're probably going to be left behind.
Really quickly, because I don't think AI was mentioned but once in the first episode. Last year it felt like a buzzword to me. This year it's there, but it's not like
it's not prominent.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think we're settling into it being part of our culture and our language that we all understand. It's a tool and it's going to be utilized, but how are you using it? The importance is not that it is AI enabled. I think the importance is, hey, we've figured out how to actually implement this in a meaningful way, in a strategic way into our products. and it's not as buzzy because of it.
Yeah. Steve?
I agree. I think before we all said we had to be in the game, but we didn't know what it meant.
Right.
And now we're actually using it in so many different ways. And so you don't have to feel trendy, and you don't have to feel like it's something that is going to separate you, because you should assume that everybody's using it.
All right.
Yeah.
Erica Carroll, how do people connect with you?
The easiest way to find me is theericacarroll.com.
Okay.
You can connect with me in all the places on that one page.
All right. Mr. Greenblatt, how do people connect with you or Control Concepts?
Too many places. So controlconcepts.net, LinkedIn is a great place. Steve Greenblatt. The State of Control has been a reboot, and if you haven't seen it and watched it and heard it, we just did part 1 of the history of Control.
Yep.
So check that out. It's really, really cool. And we spoke to some real legends, honestly, in the Control space. Ask the Programmers, another podcast I do with James King, and we are going to be releasing a new site, my company, called the Control Concepts Supported Product Hub.
Nice.
So check that out, ccisupported.net.
Very good. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Hey listeners, it's your AV sneakerhead, Jennifer Weaver. Listen to AV Career Masterminds, where I chat all things job related in the audio-visual industry. You can find AV Career Masterminds where you subscribe to podcasts.
Our second group of individuals have joined us. Steph Beckett from rAVe. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, Tim. How are you?
I am fantastic. I feel like I haven't seen you nearly enough this week.
Which is true, and we've spent a lot of time together.
We've spent a lot of time together.
That's a good thing. You're one of my best friends in the industry,
and
so it's been nice.
We'll talk about what we got to do yesterday with the tour. Also with us, first time on AVWeek, Jessica Sanders. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to see you.
Yeah, definitely.
Glad to see you. Same kind of question to everybody, and then we'll get to some other nitty gritty. Steph, what's 1 or 2 things this week that you have seen that has impressed you?
I know I should have prepared for this. I never do. I think that the amount of DVLED on the floor has impressed me. We have seen such a, it's just been a wild west in terms of LED, LCD, DVLED, micro LED, and DVLED, now that the prices come down a little bit, it's really, really taken off. We're seeing it in digital signage. We're seeing it in places where people wouldn't typically put LED because, it didn't used to be made to be on 24/7, and DVLED is kind of a little more ruggedized now. Yeah. It can go outside, it can go in so many places, and now that we're seeing that price point come down a little bit and new players enter the market like Epson, it's just it's becoming a really, really interesting trend. So it's kind of been fun for me to have heard that the first time a few years ago, that term, and to see it everywhere now. So I think it's not necessarily a product, but that is something that has impressed me and something that has kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit.
Really quickly, because a new player has entered that chat.
A new hottie has entered the villa.
I
It's
didn't
true.
say hottie. I just said a
That's
new
from
player.
Love Island.
I will take your word for it.
Okay. Period.
Yes.
Mitchell can throw in something about Love Island if he cares to go look.
Yeah.
I would love to see Mitchell looking up something from Love Island, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Enjoy that, Mitchell.
Epson
Yes.
is in DVLED now.
Yes.
How do we feel about that?
I think that, I don't know, I just felt like they were wanting to go that way anyway, because here's the thing, they're Epson, they're the projector company. You can't think about a projector without thinking of Epson. No tea, no shade to anyone else in the projector market. I know there are great options at multiple companies, but when you think of a projector, you just think of Epson. You do. And I think that they no longer want to be known as, hey, we're the projector company. They want to be, hey, we're the display company. Okay. So if you need something that has to go on a wall, has to go on a surface, has to go somewhere, come to us.
Okay.
We got projectors, we got DVLED, we got whatever you need, whatever you want, we can do it. And I think that that is what they're trying to say now.
Okay.
They were very clear to me, because I straight up asked them, I was like, people are going to be like, oh, well, projectors are dying, that's why they're going to DVLED. That's really not true.
I did that.
You said that you think projectors are dying?
No, I asked the question on AVWeek a couple
Yeah.
months
I started that rumor a few years back, by the way. Yeah, just coming from direct
ago.
LED.
It all comes down
Yeah,
to Jessica.
it does. And I mean, like, I just think there are just going to always be specific application types where projectors really shine. For one, like anywhere that you need projection mapping, we're just not quite there with LED tech yet. We do have some interesting 3D LED options out there. Magnetic 3D is here on the show floor.
Yep.
They have cool stuff, but they are so specific and they're not as out there as, projection mapping is. And that's very expensive if you want to, put LEDs all over a building and have them look 3D. Like, that's going to be crazy expensive. So obviously projection mapping is going to still be your best option there. So for really immersive installations like that, I think we're always going to look to projection. At least for the next 5 to 10 years.
All right. Jessica, what's one or two things that you saw that impressed you this week?
Yeah, a couple different products, and I really like the Cobra product from Planar. I thought that was amazing, and I've been in LED technology manufacturing for the last 10, 15 years, and I don't really get geeked out about products, but seeing that, I was super impressed by that. 0.6 mil, super tight. I mean, and the whole technology about, hey, if an LED goes out, it's designed, from that standpoint where you don't visibly see it. You see other LEDs kind of take over, if you will. I thought that was brilliant. I just blown away by that. rAVe actually has a really great product for their transparent displays.
Yep.
And they did something really cool where they put the power supply, the cards all on the edge or the border of the frame. And so with that, you get a completely transparent, for 80 or 98% of the image, which was amazing. So rental and staging, touring, all those guys are going to be looking towards that product. And then, just kind of creating that environment where you see like lighting shine through your LED. Beautiful product. I was super blown away with that. And their constant curvature products are just really amazing. And then from another standpoint, I love Sony's approach to the market where they're creating ecosystems.
Yeah.
And that blew me away, kind of seeing like their VR, XR, like for corporate productions, things like that. It made it so easy. Coming from that type of world, it was very complex. There was multiple partners. Sony comes in and says, no, we're going to make this us. And I was blown away from that standpoint and really enjoyed seeing that yesterday.
So, Sony is one of those companies that can actually do that though, right? I mean,
Right,
there
they
are
do
some,
it so well.
Yeah. Because they've got the cameras and they've got the displays.
Yeah, and more manufacturers in the LED space, so overseas manufacturers are understanding, we have to provide two things. One, an ecosystem, and then two, full service and support from the United States market. And they're truly trying to build in stronger. I was talking to several CEOs from different manufacturers this week, and we want to invest in the United States, even to some point where I'm hearing we want to manufacture in the United States. I still think that's probably 3-4 years out, but it's on people's roadmaps. They're looking at territory, and I live in North Texas, so semiconductor manufacturing is huge there right now with incentives and just, with all these different companies moving in, and I think that's going to be the hot hub for LED manufacturing in the next 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Steph, one of the things that has a thread that has gotten pulled through this episode as well as last week's episode, and that is the importance of relationship and networking.
Yeah.
How important is that, not just to the industry, but to you and your job and what you do?
Geez, for my job, it's super important, right? Because when I come knocking on someone's door for an interview, I want them to answer, So I think that networking as a journalist in the industry is always going to be super important because I want people to know rAVe. I want people to look to rAVe when they have breaking news happen, the same way that you want people to look to AVNation when news happens. Yeah. So you want people when you need the CEO for something, you want them to know who you are and to kind of understand your publication and its place in the industry and, that who you are. So you're not just some random person coming, but also networking is important to me personally because I learn in the industry from other people. I don't know a lot about the industry. I have learned everything that I know from talking to people who are smarter than me. And I come to the show specifically so that I can talk to people who are smarter than me about what they're seeing, so that I can take that and do my own research. But I always have to start somewhere, and I start with the people that I know. So the more smart people that I know, the more that I then know because I've learned from them. So I think it's very important.
Way to be a humble diva with that. Like, yes, I agree with you completely. Like, your network is so important. Sorry to jump in here.
No, please.
But yeah, this is why we come to shows like this, to build connections. And like, you never know when you need to call someone and like find out more information on a product or design or something to that effect, or like what's going on in the market or supply chain or etc. And having those connections matter. You know, that's why honestly people hire you. You know, it's your ability to reach out and influence decisions. And coming from a strong sales background, that's been the most important thing. Not to be too cliche, but your network is super important. That's going to build your, you know, your worth in some way. So I absolutely love coming to these shows, seeing everyone, talking, having a cup of coffee, and just going off. So yeah.
All right, last one for you both. What's one or two things that you're taking away from this week?
I think I've struggled in the past with having like confidence in the industry, and I've talked to you about it before. Like, I feel like I'm the biggest idiot in half of the rooms that I walk in, and
really quickly,
I think
you're not, and I've told you that.
That's
I've given
true.
you a list of people that are.
But I think that this is kind of been my first InfoComm where I have walked in and I have felt more confident than like I don't know what I'm doing.
Dude, that's
like
awesome.
I've felt super prepared for most of the interviews. I feel like I feel like still there's so much that I do not know, and I'm gonna feel like that for the rest of the time that I'm here. But I felt like I knew what I was, not what I was talking about, but what I was asking about. I knew what information I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And that has changed so much. Like, even in the past 3 years, like I watched like interviews that I did 3 years ago, and I'm like, what am I doing? What's going on? But I think that I've learned a lot in the 10 years that I've been in this industry, and it's cool that like I'm still continuing to learn, but I'm feeling a lot more confident when I walk into a space and interview somebody.
Because you should.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Jessica?
You know, for me, this is my first InfoComm in the last 10, 12 years where I wasn't tied to a booth.
Yeah.
And so I'm used to that routine, going in, having my meetings, having my conversations. And so this year, it was, you know, piggybacking on the last conversation, it was a lot about networking. And I was kind of really scared coming into this, like, what's this going to be like? Am I going to be busy? You know, am I going to have the meetings that I'm looking to have? And I was like blown away, you know, just like my ability to go in, walk in, see someone I knew, and getting stopped every, 15, 20 feet. And it's like, oh, I do feel like totally a part of the industry, and feeling, that buy-in from different companies. It's just been a really great experience. Like, oh, wow, there is life beyond a particular manufacturer. Yep. So it feels really good, feels empowering from that standpoint. And then just catching some of the sessions, that have been today or the last few days have been amazing. Just, I feel really re-energized and refreshed about the industry, and just kind of a new light. Because, you do this for 10, 15 years, it kind of becomes the same old thing. Yep. But this year has been so energetic for me. So going back, last half of 2026, moving forward, I'm like very excited about our industry.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you both so much. Steph Beckett, how do people connect with you or rAVe?
They can find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest, Steph Beckett on there. But they can find rAVe at ravepubs.com. We have a microsite with all of our InfoComm coverage in one place. We take product videos of every product on the show floor. So we're going to have probably 1,700 by the time those are all titled and up. I think we have about 500 or 600 up right now. So you can check all of those out at ravepubs.com/InfoComm.
All right, very good. Jessica?
LinkedIn is the best. You can search Jessica Sanders. I'm not going to have 1,700 product reviews up, but I will have 1,700 selfies of me on an airplane. That's been my go-to, and I laugh because that's my biggest content, clicks and things like that from that standpoint. And I just wow, that's what people want from me. Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah,
slay.
Hey, dude, whatever works.
You know what? Yeah, slay. Yeah, absolutely. Do what you got to do.
I will let you both take care of slay and. Period.
Can we get one period?
Yeah, period.
Come on, Tim.
Yeah.
Period.
I can't do the nails.
That's okay.
I don't have the nails.
I felt it. I
Absolutely.
felt that you did it in your soul.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, it was there.
It was there. It was an attempt, at least. For Tim Albright, don't follow me anywhere, but go by the website, AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. You will find this program and a host of others, including our folks at EdTech, Erin May Moran. She recorded from InfoComm as well, so you can find that, all that, and more at AVNation.tv. That's AVNation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. That is all the time we have for AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AV Nation.
This is AV Nation.
This is Erin Marmoran of EdTech. The world of higher ed AV is growing rapidly. That's why each month we hear from the best and brightest from colleges and universities all over the U.S. Check out EdTech on avnation.tv or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.